Because a lot of people are asleep. A lot of people are asleep. They've been brainwashed. They're watching too much 7, 9, 10. And if they woke up to the actual facts and done some research, they'd find out what's really going on. It's not about a COVID jab. It's about control and totalitarian rule. You only got to look at China to see what's going on there. That's where we're going next. And I'm doing this for my grandkids. I was brought up in the 60s and the 70s, which were the best years. But my grandkids, 1984, Huxley, this is where it's going. And if we don't do anything, you can kiss goodbye to any freedoms you've got now. I've been to protests before, all my life. I'm 65 years old. The only time I go to protest is when I think something's unjust. I hate unjustness. That is obviously what's going on now. I'm not anti-vax, don't get me wrong. That's the first thing I'll say. I'm not anti-vax, but I am for choice. I'm pro-choice. If I want it, I'll have it. If you want to take it, that's up to you, mate. No problem with that. Everyone has a choice. What I do with my body is up to me, no one else.
I have a family history of coronary thrombosis. Both my brother and my father died at 46 and 32 of coronary thrombosis. I gave a kidney to my mother back in 2004. I have high blood pressure because of it, and I still can't get an exemption.
There's no way I'm having a vaccine. No way. It's poison, mate. It's going to kill you. And the boosters, how many boosters are you going to have? 39, 40? And they give you the passport and say, well, where you're up to with your booster? Oh, you're only on 30 now, we're on 40 now. So you've lost all your rights. You can't go shopping now. You can't do this, you can't buy that. That's where it's going. People have got to wake up. It's simple to me.
I know people, just personally myself, I know of 8 different people that have had various different problems. One's in a coma. One's dead 2 weeks after his second fucking shot. 2 weeks after his second shot.
The one important thing for people to ask is, where did we go from having a first vaccination to a second vaccination? But there's no such thing as a third vaccination. The language has now changed to becoming a booster shot. Why isn't it a third vaccination? Why is it called a booster shot? We need to start looking at the legislation and what is the definition of a booster? What is the definition of unvaccinated as a class of people? Because this is where the legislation's going. It sounds a little bit stupid in legislation where you say, we're going to remove your rights because you haven't had your 42nd vaccination. It doesn't sound so stupid when you say, if you haven't had your booster, how long does it go on for? That's a question people need to ask. Why is it called a booster shot? Why isn't it the third vaccination? Is it because this time in 5 years we'll be talking about the 40th vaccination? You know, you've got leading people in an industry where they're saying they've got proof that they've got natural immunity. Natural immunity is the best immunity you can get, but you've got someone that specialises in their industry, the highest authority, but their boss who is a bureaucrat that's telling them they can't exempt them from natural immunity when it's the best immunity you can have.
I'm an anti-vaxxer because nobody's going to tell me what to do. My body, my rights. I've probably had one when I was a kid, but since then, why do you need them if you're healthy? You know, the government's the one you should be going after. We've got no cases here, but yet I lost my job at the mines because I wouldn't get vaxxed. If they vax me, can they take it out after I finish at 5:30 and then say we'll put it back in tomorrow morning? Or are they going to pay me 24 hours a day because I've taken this stupid vaccine? They've never ever caught COVID-19 and studied it and cultured it, but yet they've got a vaccine for it. How does that work? Please tell me.
There are many people out there who haven't been affected by these things, and so they think, what's the big deal? But there's a lot of people who have been affected. They've lost their jobs, they've lost their livelihoods, families have been separated. People can't visit their relatives interstate, not internationally. They can't visit their relatives interstate because these silly dictators, that's what they are, they're dictators and these governments, and they're telling people what they can and can't do. Nobody should be allowed to tell people what they can and can't do. Everyone gets to make their own decisions. As long as they're not causing anybody harm, we should be able to free to do what we want to do.
I think people are turning up now because they're realising what's going on, so they may not have been directly affected right now, but if you look in Europe, if you look in America, you know, it's in the post. So if you don't kind of get in there now and try and make a difference, then, each week, our rights get eroded, different things change, and so I think people are waking up and they're starting to kind of understand the big picture.
Usually a person, when they hear hear one side of the story the first time, the first impression lasts with them, and they don't want to consider the other side of the story. But there's always two sides to the story. Don't just block out the other side just because you don't agree with it. You know, we are all entitled to opinions, so they say. We are all entitled to opinions, but you got to remember that your opinion might not necessarily be the right one. You know.
Too many people are just staying silent. They know what's coming, and they're just going to get a rude shock and a rude awakening soon, because eventually everyone's going to have to stand up.
Some people aren't prepared to stand up yet. That's all I believe. You know, there's 30% who will not stand up, they will not believe it, and die believing they were right, you know. But the 70%, there's got to be 75% of people now, even people that have had the vax, that are thinking, hang on, I've got to get a third one and a fourth one and give it to my children, and everyone's got to have it. Come on. Everyone's waking up.
It's the people power that's going to get us there. We need action now. The gauntlet has been thrown down. Mark McGowan yesterday told us that we're the undead walking in society from February the 2nd. I do not accept this. I will never accept this. Please don't stand here and accept it. We've locked the borders with Western Australia from Tasmania. What happens to people who are coming up to their family? They've got a quarantine now from Tasmania. This just can't get.
It's very hard on the families, isn't it?
It's hard on us all. We've lost our families. We've lost loved ones. And we're not prepared to just sit here and take it, Mr. McGowan. You just listen to me. You put me on the news with you before. Let's do it again, because I'm ready to challenge you. I want to debate with you. Come out from the corner, you creepy little thing, and start talking to us.
It's been good. Everybody's really positive here. Good, happy vibe. Everybody just wants the same thing. We're heading on a march in that direction. I'm not exactly sure where we end, but all together, unity. Just freedom of choice. And being vaxxed help us fight for freedom. You know what they said.
Down with the clown! Down with the clown! Down with the clown!
Are you mainstream media?
No, we're just independent. Did you want to have a chat?
The mainstream media, huh? In all this, where are they?
Mainstream is corporate media.
Corporate media, where are they?
That's a good point. Have you guys seen any? No, you've seen nothing.
No. Where's Channel 9? Where's ABC? You know, where are they?
It's not in their interest. They're being paid off.
By whom?
Well, the Rothschilds, the CCP, George Soros, you know, the cabal.
We're anti-mandates.
Do you guys consider yourselves anti-vax?
No, not the same. This is not a vaccine.
Just because it's shaped like a vaccine, you can't judge a thing by its container. There could be strychnine in it.
What's that? It could be what?
Strychnine or cyanide.
There's obviously something fishy in it because many people are getting sick.
That's next.
Thank you very much, guys. I hope you have a great march.
We are all individuals.
Yeah, just sick of the mandates, sick of the oppression.
Would you be comfortable getting the vaccine, for instance, if there was no mandate?
No, I still wouldn't get it. I know I'm healthy. I know I'm not really at risk of this virus, so I see no really need to take it.
What do you think needs to happen? What's sort of the ultimate hope from doing these rallies and moving forward?
Basically making people aware and just stopping everyone from complying with the bullshit mandates. Let's get rid of Mark McGowan and let's get rid of these dictators out of Australia.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Money. Very simple, money. Money talks. The government's already bought a hell of a lot more vaccines for people. The Omicron variant isn't protected against this new, everyone's in for booster shots. Look at countries like Israel, they're on their 6th shot, their 5th booster. They aren't protected. It's running through their rife, running through everywhere. It's a blessing if you get the Omicron. Build up a bit of natural immunity.
So at the moment, what are you sort of hoping happens at the end of the rally, or is there something that would be like the ideal scenario coming at the end of this?
Ideal scenario would be Mark McGowan is told he's not welcome, go home, and we'll find a new leader, because he's not a leader. He's just following the Chinese. He's bought and paid for. I think the real doctors have been suppressed. The only doctors that are in the media are the ones that have been bought and paid for by Pfizer and Moderna. There's just way too much money being spent on vaccines that don't work. Obviously, each variant's getting weaker and weaker, and that's been proven. The vaccines aren't preventing you from contracting the virus, and it's certainly not preventing you from passing it on to somebody else. So it's a waste of money, and people have a right to go to work.
Have you been vaccinated against anything else beforehand?
Oh, of course I have. Yes.
So you wouldn't consider yourself an anti-vaxxer?
No, not at all. No, all my children have been vaccinated against all the litany of ones that you have as a child, as a baby. So certainly not an anti-vaxxer. And we've gone to the point where we've actually rewritten the meaning of what the word vaccine is, just to suit the narrative.
The Australian Constitution must be fully restored and upheld.
And what right now is not being upheld?
The Australian Constitution has been undermined for the last 60 years. Slowly but surely they've reduced the Australian Constitution from a book as big as a Bible to a little book this thick, this wide and this high.
So what are we missing right now in the Constitution? What should be in there?
Missing the law and being upheld. The law is not upheld anymore.
Would you consider yourself anti-vax, or is that a misnomer here at the moment?
I would say I am anti-vax because when I was about 3, I got 2 immunisation needles, and the result of those was I lost my smell, I lost my taste, I went deaf, and I got memory problems. I remember the battle that I had to get as a little infant to not get those jabs.
It sounds pretty fair as to why you'd be, if nothing else, sceptical of vaccines. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I'm not just sceptical, I am. I'm anti-vax, yes. Because we're never going to know the extent of the damage that those vaxxers are doing. When they're fighting against these people, he's fighting against them. I mean, he's fighting against him. McGowan is fighting against him. Not only McGowan. Hey, and let me tell you something else. McGowan is betraying us to the Chinese. You know what the Chinese will do? They'll see him, recognise him as a traitor, and they'll shoot him too. And all of his cronies. You watch and see. Xi Jinping, just less than a year ago, early this year, he had 8,000 of his top men shot.
You wouldn't want to be one of those. You wouldn't want to be one of his advisors.
I don't want anything to do with Mark McGowan. I don't want anything to do with Labor Party.
If you don't mind me asking, and feel free not to answer, but who will you be voting for next election?
I still haven't decided yet. Okay, but it won't be Labor and it won't be Liberal.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. Hope you have a good day.
Pleasure, friend. Be blessed.